All right, it's 4:02, 4:03. We got a few more people that are coming, and we've got some online. But welcome everybody to the subcommittee of general government, House Appropriations, and we're going to go ahead and start. Good to have you, and we'll turn the floor over to you. It's a little after 4, and I know a lot of people may want to get somewhere. So anyway, floor's yours. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate. Good afternoon, and committee members. I really appreciate this opportunity to come in and speak about our budget priorities for this year. We have made some significant progress in the past few years, and we look forward to continuing to be good stewards of the tax dollars you entrust us. Our amended FY22 budget request includes 2 main changes. One, the governor's recommended $5,000 pay raise and annual leave and 401k changes to all our employees in our agency, and funding to implement the two new programs established by the Patients First Act passed by the legislature in 2019. Before I dig into the details of these 2 changes, I want to highlight some of the agency's accomplishments over the past 2 years. You have granted us several one-time budget requests during my time as commissioner, and I've been able to get some great work done with the dollars you've entrusted me with. In 2020, you provided us one-time funds of $125,000 to implement a surplus line automation system, an online system that makes it easier for insurers to report policies to our office for premium tax collections. This online system replaces a paper inefficient process that often resulted in missed tax collections. We were able to implement this system in January 2021, and after an adjustment period for the companies filing these policies, it will be fully in effect in FY23. Our initial projected revenues were between $500,000 and $5 million, and I'm excited to announce today that FY22 collections are already up to $13 million. Thanks to this system. So that is $13 million in new revenue directly into our state treasury from a $125,000 investment. We've also used new funds you provided us to strengthen our agency's IT infrastructure and improve cybersecurity. We're the state's second largest revenue generating agency, bringing in over $1.3 billion annually. Yet when I took over, we were collecting these dollars either through paper checks or through homegrown systems and a website built in the early 2000s. With the funds that you have provided us, we've updated these systems and moved our agency into the 21st century. We recently launched our new Georgia Insurance Management System, which lets us move from processing paper checks to accepting online payments from everything from agents' license applications, staff adjusters, and name approvals. We've also implemented CitizenServe, a web-based cloud system that allows our Safety Fire Division to electronically accept building plans, permits, and licenses. Effective July 1st of last year, CitizenServe also allows us to digitally track inspections from buildings to elevators to escalators and boilers. This new system has helped us discover and address previously unknown holes in our inspection process to better serve the people of the state of Georgia. We've also rolled out a new online system to help us better collect and organize legal documents and more efficiently process record requests from media and from the citizens. The system also allows us to implement our new surprise billing authorities that have been recently enacted and granted to our agency by both state and federal agencies, by state and federal laws. Our safety fire side, we moved to a new system for Georgia schools to report the required fire, tornado, and other safety drills to our office. This system is free to the school systems. We're also responsible for providing fire safety training to all caregiver professionals in the state of Georgia. Our new system is more user-friendly for caregivers and allows us to better track certificates to ensure that this training is up to date. On the operations side, our new SharePoint applications allow us to more efficiently track internal documents, such as purchasing invoices and HR files. And finally, before moving to the FY22 budget, I want to highlight two important divisions in our agency that are working directly for Georgia consumers every day: Consumer Services and Special Fraud. Thanks to the General Assembly, we've been able to add additional staff and resources to both these divisions. Our Consumer Services division works every day answering insurance calls, questions, and helping to resolve disputes between insurers, agents, and policyholders. Thanks to their work in 2021 alone, our agency recovered over $17.7 million from insurance companies back into the pockets of hardworking Georgians. Our Special Fraud Division is made up of certified and sworn law enforcement officers who investigate illegal activities perpetrated by companies, agents, and/or individuals. In 2021 alone, Special Fraud received a 156% increase in assigned cases and saw 269% increase in arrests for charges ranging from insurance fraud to forgery to criminal damage to property and exploitation of the elderly. Special Fraud recovered over $2.6 million for victims in 2020 alone. I see my job and firstmost to protect Georgia consumers, and your support has allowed us to better accomplish this goal. I will now turn to our amended FY22 changes, which you can find on page 9 of your tracking document. Line 29.1.1 reflects just under $130,000 for pay raises and retirement and earned leave changes for the administration program. Line 29.2.1 reflects $66,000 for pay raises and retirement earned leave changes in our enforcement program. Moving to the fire safety and insurance regulation, lines 29.3.1 and 29.4.1 reflect the pay raises and benefit changes for employees in those two programs. Which brings me to the Patients First Act programs. Line 29.5.1 reflects $49,000 in initial funds for a new position at our agency to oversee the state's reinsurance program. Under this program, the state will begin to offset high-cost medical claims on Georgia and for Georgians on the individual market. Offsetting these claims will turn and bring down healthcare premiums across Georgia. We are estimating the premium reductions of anywhere between 10 to 30%, depending on the region of our state. Our more rural areas where premiums are the highest will see the largest reductions. The new position will be responsible for setting the reinsurance parameters, collecting and analyzing claims information, and managing the pass-through funding. On line 29.5.2, you will see $8 million in initial funds established by the new state-run Georgia Access website to replace the federal ACA exchange. These funds will stand up the new program and begin to cover enabling technology and staff. On the Georgia Access, our office will be responsible for overseeing the individual market, certifying the offered health plans, and regulating how consumers shop for and enroll in health plans on the market. And finally, on line 29.6.1, you will see $135,000 for pay raises and retirement and earned leave changes in our Special Fraud program. I thank you again for the opportunity to present our agency's priorities and show the work that we've been doing on behalf of Georgia consumers. The support of this committee and the entire General Assembly is essential for us to accomplish our mission, and we are grateful for the partnership that we have. I will now open it up for any questions for you, Mr. Chairman, or any of the members of the committee. My Chief Financial Officer is sitting next to me, Chad Davella, who will also help answer any technical questions you may have.
All right. Well, thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. And before I forget, I just want to let everybody know that we've got Chairman Lynn Smith, Whip Patchett, Representative Barr, Representative Evans, and Representative Hill joining us by Zoom. So just wanted to give them a shout out so everybody knows that they're listening. And I'll just start maybe with a few here and see if we get any more questions going or give people time to think about it. But being you just mentioned that the $49,420 on the Patients First Act to implement that, just out of curiosity, is that seems a little low to implement a program like that? It's
just to get us started, sir. Basically, we're in the middle of the fiscal year, so that helps us to kind of get somebody on board, start getting the data set, getting with the contractors and the folks that are going to be rolling this program out. And so it's to get somebody in-house that we can start training and holding accountable. Obviously, this is a hard skill to find. Chad, I'll turn it over to you if you have any more information to provide.
Yes, Chairman. And then in next year's fiscal budget, it's $124 million to
Okay.
continue that program going forward.
Okay, that'll be a big increase there. All righty.
Not all of that is going
Now I
into
got a
the
year to
salary
think
of that
about it,
one
so I
individual.
appreciate that,
But-
Chad.
So I'm giving you a small taste, but it's just to get the program. We want to get ahead of the curve. We want to make sure that this is available and running with no hiccups. And the key is getting the right people on the ground.
Okay, good deal. And then you touched on most of it in your slides, but I know we've put a lot of people and funds into your agency to help with building inspections and elevator inspections, and we've passed legislation, a lot of that stuff. So all that seems to be, you're catching up on all of that and getting everything.
I assured you last year that we weren't going to ask for the moon in the first year. We wanted to make sure that we had tracking mechanisms to show the data that what we were doing with the funds that you have given us to manage the programs. As we make progress in hiring the folks, we're keeping up with what is the right, what is the right number of folks, especially in the inspectors. They're severely needed. They've been neglected for many years at the agency.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I know last week, Chairman Knight and Chairman Tillery both asked you about the PBMs and the management of some of that. I just wanted to make sure again, is there going to be staff needed extra for that to manage that? And
we're working with the data that we're getting in the complaint, and we feel fairly confident that we have the folks that we need to.
Okay.
Now, obviously, if the data drives us for me to come next year then we'll adjust our requests. But right now, I feel very confident that we have the proper number of folks and the systems to be able to manage that program.
okay, good deal. All righty. Any questions online while I'm asking away here and hogging everybody else's time, or no? They're going to be.
Yeah, Representative Barr.
Representative Barr, you have a question? Representative Barr. While he's doing that, I'll ask another one. I know we noticed that a lot of you've provided some raises, and I know retention has been an issue as with a lot of our agencies, and there was some raises provided in the budget already. Can you talk about any of that? And
Sir, we've been very successful in recruiting. Key is having the opportunity to start from fresh, but developing a culture of the department being a great place to come to work for. And so there's some hard skills like especially the financial auditing, the technical experts. Those are hard. And so when we're encountering problems in recruiting folks, then we're looking at contract options to be able to make sure that the work still keeps on getting done. But there's some hard skills, sir, that I don't think I could come in and ask you for enough money to hire, especially some of the financial analysts and some of the insurance, experts that we just can't compete against the private enterprise. But there's some contract solutions that we're addressing some of those expertise, sir.
but y'all have done that internally, just providing pay raises to those employees in those positions.
Yes,
to keep them
and
in-house.
we're very aggressively going and recruiting and offering to train folks to come to our agency, even if they don't have the skill sets. We're willing to train and bring new talent, especially folks graduating our risk management programs, both with Georgia State University and University of Georgia.
Now, will they get another raise or? in
No, they
addition
come in.
to-
Yeah, we want to make
to-
sure
to
that they're
what
going to.
everybody else is getting?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm concerned about making sure that we don't create a situation where we have pay compression, that we have somebody that's coming in
Mhm.
and then somebody that's been a long-term employee that's been working hard, and they basically just feel like they're getting kicked in the teeth, and not rewarded for their loyalty to work for our agency. So we're managing that on an individual basis.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Did Representative Barr get his? Okay. He's having difficulties. Any other questions?
it on now? All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apologize for being late. Commissioner, thank you for being here today. Just wanted to reiterate one of the questions that you and I talked about in the ISO rating. We've had some concerns from some of my communities in my district about that rating. And I know we've talked about what y'all are doing and really appreciate y'all working toward that and trying to find some resolution for these communities on that issue.
Well, sir, we've been, this situation with ISO ratings came to light when we were touring, especially down in South Georgia. And so fire chiefs came to me and they say, we want a system that we get an appeal process. So if we feel like we haven't been treated fairly by the ISO inspectors, we want to be able to, and so we're creating a system that there's an appeal process inside the commissioner's office. And I think we can address the concerns. And I think the fire chiefs seem to be pleased with the direction that we're going with that.
All right, thank you. One or two more and I'll be done. And one of them is just kind of a comment, and this was brought up and kind of on the same lines of the PBMs and stuff, but before I forget, the white bagging. And I don't know if your agency is in charge of that, but we talked about this during the Rural Development Council and it may be something we can talk more about online, but I didn't know if your agency, I was told your agency had some oversight there in some of the prescription medication that's shipped directly to patients and how all that works. And it may be related to some of the PBM stuff, but it
might be, sir, because I'm not tracking the complaints in that area, but we'll take a look at it, sir, and we'll give you feedback on.
Okay. Yeah. And we can talk
Yes,
more
sir.
about what that on offline. Also last one, appointment fees. We had some questions yesterday about fees. And so could you just explain more about those fees and how they're collected, how much you keep, how much goes to the general treasury, and just so we've got more.
Yes, sir. I'll probably turn it
information on
over to
that.
Chad so he can work through the system. But basically, these fees have been able to give us the flexibility to be able to catch up with a great deal with, especially the backlog that we initially had in contracting some of, especially the plan reviews. But I'll let Chad go into more details on how those are collected and how to make those reports available.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So the appointment fees are collected when insurance companies pay appointments on agents. And we have done that through renegotiation of contracts with different vendors as well to bring in additional other funds into the agency. And so we used a one-time request to reserve those funds to implement our GIM system, which is our name approval, staff adjusters, our company portal, consumer complaints module. We're implementing our paper processes into electronic processes. Going forward, no, it is not the intent to keep those funds. If those funds are not used, they would be lapsed back to the treasury at year end.
Okay. So you'll keep all of it, or you're wanting to keep all of it?
Well, we requested a one-time request because last year was the first year that the other funds were generated. So we could not enter into contracts without knowing how much it would generate. And obviously, when you enter into contract of that kind of magnitude, you have to do an RFP, which takes 5 months to do. So you have to know your numbers before you can actually start working towards them. Once we found that out, then we requested that one time, but going forward, it would go to treasury.
Okay.
It just gave us the flexibility as we were starting these programs that were not budgeted to get things into the electronic format, to get that innovation in our agency. So we used those appointment fees, which were not available in previous years by previous commissioners.
Right. Well, and they had the Secretary of State here yesterday, and they had similar concept. They were wanting to retain it. They actually had it in their sheet, I believe. So,
Yes.
And that's and they had to explain what they keep, what goes, and where it goes, and who gets to keep what. And so, just wanted to clarify that. So,
and that goes forward every year. We make the request either to retain a portion, and we earmark what those funds will be used.
and that would be last year's and this year's, or 2021.
The one available now.
Just 2021 is.
Just 2021.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. All righty. I don't see any more lights. I think everybody's good. Nobody online. All right, Commissioner, you're good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for
Appreciate the
being here.
opportunity to come and
Yep.
talk. And I
Always
appreciate the support, obviously, from this committee. Without
glad to
without
have you
y'all's
as
help-
the only insurance commissioner in the state of Georgia.
At least you
So
only
what
paid
an
for
honor
one
that
this
is.
year, sir. So at least we're going to try to keep it that way, sir.
Can we add one more thing?
Yes.
I just wanted to say with the appointment fees too, that has paid for the PBMs.
Okay.
So we use those funds instead of asking for additional state funds. We use those funds to pay for that.
Okay, good. Thanks for that. Yep. All righty. Thank y'all.
Thank
Appreciate
Mr.
you being
Chairman.
here.
Appreciate members of the committee.
All right, next up, we've got the Department of Revenue. Commissioner Crittenden, come on down. And members, we're going to be on section 42, page 14 of your tracking sheets. And we'll give everybody a minute to find their page here, Commissioner. And I think you're live down there, so we'll thank you for being here and we'll turn it over to you. So.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sorry, we walked in a few minutes late. We actually were sitting in the wrong room. On the 6th floor. But good afternoon, Chairman Watson and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today on the governor's recommendations for the Department of Revenue for amended fiscal year 2022. My name is Robin Crittenden, and I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Revenue. And I'm joined here today by our Chief Financial Officer, Ken Nash, as well as Deputy State Revenue Commissioner Frank O'Connell, and our Legislative and Communications Director, Mason Rainey. The Department of Revenue's mission is to administer the tax laws of the state of Georgia fairly and efficiently in order to promote public confidence and compliance while providing excellent customer service. As you can see, our vision and core values remain the same as they have been in the past, but our team of over 880 dedicated and hardworking professionals are committed to being the most efficient and accessible tax administrator in the country. Next slide, please. Even during the pandemic, our team has worked to continue to lead the way with innovative tools, systems, and programs to support our fellow taxpayers and to support our work and improve the services we provide to the citizens of our state. Some of our most recently completed and ongoing projects include call center enhancements, our centralized alcohol licensing portal development, which phase 1 actually just went live, our transition to the cloud, as well as we've already begun to work on some upgrades to our Gen Tax system for ITS version 12. Next slide, please. As we work to continuously improve our agency, here are the results from the department's tax collection efforts from FY 2015 through 2021. 2021 garnered a strong return of revenues of $26.9 billion, or an amazing 13.5% growth over 2020. Overall, net revenue collections for fiscal year 2015 through fiscal year 2021 grew by $7.87 billion, or 41.4%. That's $19.03 billion in fiscal year 2025 to $26.9 billion in fiscal year 2021. $3.2 billion of revenue growth in fiscal year 2021 over fiscal year 2020 came from 3 primary areas: individual income tax, sales tax, and corporate tax. Some of you have asked me about the Marketplace Facilitator collections since they've gone into effect and what those numbers have looked like. The effective date of those was April 1, 2020. And since that time, we've collected a total of $1.16 billion. We're already off to a strong start for fiscal year 22. As you may have seen in the governor's recent press release, December net tax revenues totaled $2.98 billion, an increase of $582.9 million from the previous year. And year-to-date next tax revenue collections totaled $14.85 billion, an increase of $2.28 billion from the previous year. DOR has consistently remained at approximately 0.7% of the overall state funds appropriation for the state of Georgia, making the department a valuable return on investment. Next slide, please. Now, turning to our budget. The DOR budget appropriation is comprised of 4 key groups. The tax divisions, which comprise $82.6 million or 41.9% of the budget. The external divisions, which comprise $54.1 million or 27.4% of the budget. Pass-throughs, which comprise $48.1 million or 24.4% of the budget. And rounding out our budget is the administration program at $12.6 million or 6% of the budget. Next slide, please. Now, turning to the amended fiscal year 2022 budget. This is just a quick overview of it, and we'll go on to the next slide and I'll go into more detail. Now, turning to the governor's amended fiscal year 2022 budget recommendations on pages 65 through 66 of House Bill 910 House Tracking Sheet, Governor Kemp's recommendation for the Department of Revenue in the amended fiscal year 2022 appropriation would add $5.6 million, made up primarily of the $5,000 state employee pay increase, plus one DOR specific change. Line 1, amended fiscal year 2022, is a statewide change for $5.4 million that is reflected in all 8 of our operational budget programs, which will provide the $5,000 increase for all full-time state employees. This budget enhancement will greatly assist with our critical and pressing recruitment and retention needs. This is reflected in the House tracking sheet on lines 42.1.1 for administration, 42.3.1 for the industry regulation or ATD, alcohol and tax unit, 42.4 alcohol and tobacco, 42.4.1 for the local government services program, in 42.6.1 for motor vehicle program, in 42.7.1 for the Office of Special Investigations, in 42.8.1 for tax compliance, 42.9.1 for the tax policy program, and 42.10.1 for taxpayer services. Line 2 reflects the one DOR specific change, and this appropriation reimburses local government services for the fireworks funds, which were distributed in early October in accordance with OCGA 48-13-131A by October 15th each year. These funds represent 5% of fireworks excise tax collections, which were distributed to 182 local governments. This is reflected in the House tracking sheet on line 42.4.2 in the local government services program. Now, line 3 supports Governor Kemp's recommendation to utilize $1.6 million in prior year undesignated state funds surplus to provide a one-time additional refund for tax year 2021 of $250 for single filers, $375 for head of household filers, and $500 for married filing jointly. This is reflected in the House tracking sheet on line 42.10.2 for the taxpayer services program. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to present the governor's recommendations to the DOR amended fiscal year 22 budget. This concludes our presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Good job there. On the 42.10.2, the 1.6 million that will be returned, are you going to be needing any extra staff to roll that program out, or are y'all going to keep that in-house? And have we got, or is that going to be the number, or have y'all gotten any closer on finding out if that is the number, or if you're going to need more than that or less than that, or you just want to comment on that?
At this point, this is the number, and we anticipate being able to roll it out with the staff we already have. So we should not need anything extra for implementation.
Okay, good. Well, I know when we were making a lot of the cuts a year or so ago, we reduced y'all staff tremendously. And just want to make sure that you've got everything you need to collect as much money as you need to collect. So
we are a lean and mean tax
okay,
collecting.
well, that's good. Lean and mean is good.
But we're not that mean.
Hey, no, good deal. Let me see here. We got any questions online? Not yet. Anybody? Floor leader Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner, for being here. Just on the Forest Land Protection grants, have last year's funding all been paid out to date, or are we still trying to catch up on some of those?
We're in the current year funding, and so we are in the process of sending those out this month.
Okay.
We have received roughly about half of the localities have submitted, and so we're going through the final approvals and should hopefully get them out very shortly.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for what you do. Appreciate it. Thank you,
you.
Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioner, you got off easy. It's your first time. I guess everybody's taking it easy on you.
I appreciate it.
So thank
Thank
you for
you.
what you do, and
Thank you so much.
look forward to talking to you more on 23.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we've got driver services. Commissioner Moore, Shivonda. Good to have y'all here. Always good to see you. I know y'all had a lot going on as well. So
Yes, sir. We are.
and for members of the committee, they are on section 21, page 6. So let us all get there, Commissioner.
All right. While you're getting there, Mr. Chairman, of course, you mentioned that we have Shivonda Leslie, who's our head of our governmental affairs, as well as George Boykin, who is our intern for the session, who's with us in person today. And we also have Michelle Granger, our CFO, and Travis Kennedy, who is our deputy CFO online. So if there is the need for some backup, hopefully they can help me out. But I like to start, Mr. Chairman, thanking you and the committee for your support last session in the pay raise for our employees of $2,000 for those who make $50,000 or less, which is roughly 80% of our staff. So that moving our driver examiner even up those $2,000, we think will make a difference. And we're certainly really hopeful and thankful to the governor for the recommendation of the $5,000 increase this year. And I'll get to those in just a moment. But what I'd like to do is start with a general overview of DDS. Our goal is simple. We want to be fast, but we want to be efficient, and more importantly, we always want to be secure. We have, as a state, led the nation year over year in the implementation of Real ID. And I'm happy to report that 99% of our citizens are Real ID compliant. And one of the things that's really great about that is it obviously promotes the integrity and all the other processes that requires a state issued credential. So for that, we're extremely proud of that effort. And certainly want to continue to get that last 1%, but it will be challenging as we have individuals who move in and out of the state. But Most people are not aware that we have 8.2 million licensed drivers in our state, and about 390,000 of them are CDL license holders. We served 2.6 million customers face-to-face last year, and we're on track to meet and exceed that this year. And I'm proud to say that as an agency, we led the country with having our centers open and available to the public for those services, and we have been a leader in the country for that. We are seeing a larger number of our customers go online, which we love. 1.2 million customers served online. They can perform our services at the comfort of their home or their office or wherever they choose to pick up their cell phone or computer in order to perform those transactions. So when you look at nearly 4 million people served by our agency in fiscal year 21, we continue to be a highly customer focused and facing agency. Tuesday remains our biggest days, where you see the color shaded locations on the map is where we have centers. We have 67 of them around the state. We are happy with the support that we received to add 2 new sites that we hope to complete first quarter of 2023, no later than first quarter of 2023 in Douglasville and Hazelhurst. They both will be CDL sites, which is very much needed for that high demand industry. So we are really, again, appreciative of the support that's been provided. I'll get to the ads that we're requesting today, and you can find them again on page 7. But obviously, like all other agencies, we are extremely excited about the opportunity for the recommendation by the governor of the $5,000 cost of living increase, as well as the 401k and other ads that he has requested in his budget. Recruitment and retention is absolutely critical for our organization. I'll have a chart that I'll speak to in just a moment. But from our standpoint, we are, as an agency, programmed in 3 areas: departmental administration, which is basically our commissioner's office, which only has 7 people. We have our HR staff, as well as our finance division, who work to support the other 2 programs, which is our license issuance and our regulatory compliance programs. Those are the customer-facing programs in our agency. As you can see from the presentation, the starting salary of our staff, even with the $2,000 increase, remains low. And I've also noted the responsibilities of driver's examiner. They are extremely, extremely important in the overall process of how we do business in our state. You can look at the bottom of the chart and notice that our staff trends less than 5 years of experience. Matter of fact, 478 members of our staff are less than 5 years. That is a transition over the last decade where, quite frankly, the talent and the veteran staff have moved on. And we as an agency have done as many things as we can in order to allow technology to assist us where we don't have long-term employees. One of the things that we have proposed and the governor recommended in his budget was the ability to help our customer base through technology. One of the things that we have obviously is recruitment and retention issues. And for really fast, what we consider to be fast transactions, such as a renewal, we have the ability through technology and the use of kiosks, especially in 15 of our most busy locations, to allow for customers to come in, not have to actually see staff and go up to a kiosk, scan a license, take a picture. It's all incorporated in the kiosk and leave with an interim document. So this will be for only customers who've already come and talked to a person, proven themselves, actually been vetted by one of our staff. Will have the capability to use this type of kiosk. We are requesting in line 22.2.2, $1.267 million in order to allow for these kiosks, as well as on page 6 of the presentation, as well as the added function that our partners and our friends at DOR already has in place, which is in 53 locations around the state. There are Kroger's where you can get your tag renewed. Our goal since our transition into the Drives program, where both agencies are on the back end of that program, we can now partner with them in order to get a license issued at those 53 kiosks as well. And we have noted the 15 locations on the presentation that you will see. Just as we look at the potential return on investment of these kiosks, there are roughly in those 15 locations, 361,000 renewal customers who came to those centers, did not have to speak with staff. They didn't change an address. They weren't new to the state. They weren't reinstating. They were simply getting a renewal of a document that they already have. That's where the kiosk is something that would be extremely helpful and allow for our staff to be focused on serving those customers who do come in for transactions that require interaction. We estimate that the cost of the kiosk is around the cost of a full-time examiner with benefits. But unlike the examiner, there's no break time, there's no lunch, there's no sick and annual leave usage. This is an opportunity for us again to become even more efficient as an agency as we serve the citizens of Georgia. And the last item that we are requesting in our amended 22 budget is the on line 21.2.2. We were able to implement back in November what's called a voice bot. This is a technology that allows for a caller to call into a call center and actually talk to what sounds like a human and get their service from our agency. So we have one of the busiest call centers in our state, 2.2 million calls annually. We have roughly 55 full-time employees in that unit. 19 of those positions are vacant today. So it is hard to recruit and retain those individuals. We requested last year one-time funding for $600,000, and you all graciously provided us that and allowed for us to go forward, implement this past November. And as you look at this particular slide, slide 8, you notice that since November 22nd to January 12th, 238,000 calls came into the call center. 80,000 of them were answered by the voice bot, and 73,000 of those 80,000 were answered without the need of an agent. So that's about 91% of those calls were handled without having to actually talk to an individual. We're requesting $125,000 basically for extended support agreement, as well as resource consumption in order for us to continue the usage of this bot through our pilot process. So far, it has been very successful. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, that concludes my report. And I'm certainly here to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, good deal. Thank you, Commissioner. And I'll go ahead and tell you, B, you just talked about that. Anytime I call anybody now, I wonder if I'm talking to a real person or a computer. And it just,
Well, it's good if you don't know, right?
Yeah. And I don't. A lot of times I can't tell. And I'm like, I'll get off with them and I'm like, Not sure if that was a human being or not, but it sure sounded like one. But anyway, they must work, obviously. So you've got the numbers there to prove it. So, but anyway, we got a question or two here, I think. So
Yes, sir.
Hold on, Representative Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thanks for showing up, and appreciate all the hard work you guys do there at DDS. One's a question, I guess one's an observation.
Sure.
Observation first. I was looking at those kiosks that you had, those locations. And I didn't see Augusta up there. And we can talk about that offline,
We
but I
can
just
talk
want you
about
to
that. Yes,
note,
sir.
make a note of
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes,
But
sir.
and this may not even be the budget. Maybe it's in the amended of last year or coming up this year. But with SB 202, the new voting thing bill that passed, I think about a year ago, you guys are now, and I say you guys, DDS, and you're providing identification cards.
We do
something.
offer free
Free,
voter registration cards.
Is-
The General Assembly, you all provided $250,000 for us to publicize the free voter ID. I'm happy to say that Shivonda's team, they have worked vigorously to get ads out. We are on airways. We are at gas pump locations. We are in radio, letting the public know that those are available, and we do provide them.
And that's great. I guess my concern, or when you're talking about budget, the cost to you, have you seen a lot of people rushing in to get these things, or is it sort of maybe wait till I guess what, May time
Yeah,
frame?
well,
right
I
before
guess
election?
we'll see in the next few months, but traditionally, we're a state where a large percentage of our population has a credential. I think we've spoken in the past. We don't see a lot of requests for the free voter ID card because most folks have a driver's license, they have a state issued identification card, but we stand ready for those who don't have it to receive it. So those numbers are very small, but this year we're doing more publicity around it. So we expect we will see more people in the April timeframe that request it. Yes, sir.
Commissioner, on the kiosks, is there any security risks that are there, or is that, how does all that work within your agency?
That's a very good question, Mr. Chairman. These kiosks would be in our centers, right? So it would be basically an extension of our counters, the 15 that we're looking at placing in locations. They would run on the same infrastructure as our current issuing process. There are no security concerns. It would be like a person being able to renew from home using their computer. But in this case, you've already left your house, you've already showed up into the building, and we want to do everything when we have issues such as COVID situations where we're low staff. This now is an option that allows a customer to get served a little bit more efficiently.
Okay, and then as far as the voice bot goes, have you gotten any kind of public input on that yet, or are you hearing anything from people, or are they like me? They don't know that they're not talking to a real person.
They may not know at this point, but what I did just today, I talked to our CIO about the voice bot as I was preparing to come out here. When we first rolled it out in late November, there were maybe 5 to 7 complaints that came in, but over the last month, the last 4 months, we have not had one complaint related to the voice bot. Early on, there was choppiness. So you get it, and that's when you can tell that it's not a human. But we've been able to work through that process and get that choppiness out. And therefore, you don't have a situation. But remember, any customer can at any point, if they figure out they're talking to a voice bot, can decide to talk to a human. So that availability still exists.
Okay, let me see. We may have a few here online. We got anybody online? Whip Hatchet.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to give out a shout to my hometown commissioner and tell him great job. Appreciate your service and look,
I think
you
that-
find
thank-
even more, finding more and more efficiencies in that operation. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good deal. Floor leader Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, thank you for being here today.
Sure.
And if I remember correctly from last year's budget hearings, you were losing employees at a tremendously higher rate than possibly some other agencies to other positions nearby. With the pay raise from last year and with the increase in this year, I know that it's gotten more competitive than it was last year when we
Very
had the
much.
same conversation, but is this helping to slow that tide some? Your folks are doing a tremendous job every center that I've been in interaction. I had a bot, not with DDS, to hang up on me, Mr. Chairman, because I don't think they understood what I was asking for one time. But doing a great job, and just wondering if that's. I know the workforce is more competitive now in pay than what it was even a year ago when we had this conversation.
Yes, sir, it is. And the trend is we have more workforce issues in the metro Atlanta areas or the metro areas, even in Augusta, Savannah, where you have more competition in the market and the salaries are a little bit higher. But, what we've been able to do, our HR team has done a really good job, is marketing the benefits of being a state employee, right? The opportunities. And that's been extremely helpful. But in Metro Atlanta, it's still is a problem. It's still a problem.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
All right. Commissioner, I don't see any more questions, and I'll just close us out. I just want to say thank you for the job that you've done. I know we've had a lot of other state agencies that closed, and some are still closed, and their buildings are closed, and people can't go interact with people, and you've been open the whole time, and you haven't missed a beat, and you're providing a service to the people of Georgia, and you're finding out better ways and more efficient ways to do it. So I just want to thank you for that, because I know there are a lot of frustrated citizens out there that want to go talk to somebody and
Right.
they're not able to. So thank you for doing that. And I know we've done a lot with your budget over the last few years. So and I hope it has helped and continues to help, and just appreciate what y'all do. So
Thank you, Mr.
thank
Chairman.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Members, we're going to be adjourned at this time, but just a reminder, we've got a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock in 4:15. So, and it will not have a Zoom option, committee members that are on Zoom. Sorry, that room does not have Zoom capability. So you're going to have to come in person. But look forward to seeing all of you there, and thank everybody for being here. See you tomorrow.